Welcome to my channel, where you can learn and speak English easily through simple and engaging stories. Stay with me. Listen closely and your English will improve naturally. Ryan worked in a large office in the middle of the city where every day felt exactly the same. He woke up early, wore the same formal clothes, and traveled through crowded streets to reach a place that no longer made him happy. At first, he believed this job would give him stability, success, and respect. But over time, something inside him began to change. A quiet feeling of dissatisfaction slowly grew stronger, and he could not ignore it anymore. Every morning, Ryan sat at his desk and stared at his computer screen, completing tasks that felt meaningless. His manager often praised his performance, calling him efficient and reliable, but those words no longer gave him satisfaction. Instead, they reminded him that he was becoming someone he did not want to be. He felt trapped in a routine that lacked purpose. One day, during a long meeting, Ryan noticed how everyone around him seemed tired and disengaged. People nodded their heads, took notes, and followed instructions without questioning anything. It was at that moment Ryan experienced a sudden realization. He thought, "Is this how I want to live for the next 20 years?" The question stayed in his mind and refused to disappear. That evening, Ryan walked home slowly, observing the city in a different way. He saw people rushing, chasing deadlines, and constantly checking their phones. The environment felt overwhelming, and he realized he had been part of this cycle for too long. He wanted something different, something meaningful, even if it was uncertain. At home, Ryan sat quietly and reflected on his life. He thought about his childhood dreams, the things that once made him feel excited and alive. He remembered how much he loved writing stories and exploring creative ideas, but as responsibilities increased, he had abandoned those passions. Now he felt a strong desire to rediscover them. The next morning, Ryan made a decision that surprised even himself. Without creating a detailed plan, without securing another job, he walked into his manager's office and resigned. His manager looked shocked and asked, "Are you sure about this decision?" Ryan nodded calmly, even though he felt a mixture of fear and relief. It was a bold and risky choice, but it also felt liberating. After leaving the office for the last time, Ryan stepped outside and took a deep breath. For the first time in years, he felt free. But along with that freedom came uncertainty. He had no clear direction, no guaranteed income, and no idea what would happen next. Still, he believed that staying in his old job would have been a greater risk. The first few days at home were peaceful. Ryan enjoyed the silence and the absence of pressure. He started writing again, slowly at first, trying to rebuild his confidence. However, as days turned into weeks, anxiety began to appear. He started questioning his decision. Was it irresponsible? Had he made a mistake? Ryan's savings were limited, and reality began to feel serious. He realized that freedom without discipline could lead to problems. So he decided to create a simple structure for his days. Every morning he woke up early, wrote for several hours, and spent time learning new skills. He also read books about creativity, productivity, and personal growth. During this period, Ryan faced many challenges. Some days he felt motivated and inspired. On other days, he felt completely lost and unproductive. The emotional journey was intense and unpredictable, but despite the difficulties, he noticed something important. He was growing. One afternoon, while working at a small cafe, Ryan had an interesting conversation with a stranger. The man asked him what he did for a living. Ryan paused for a moment before answering. "I'm trying to build something of my own," he said honestly. The man smiled and replied, "That takes courage." That simple word, courage, stayed with Ryan. He realized that quitting his job was not just an impulsive decision, but also an act of bravery. Many people wanted to change their lives, but very few were willing to face uncertainty. Ryan understood that fear was a natural part of growth. Weeks later, Ryan decided to share his writing online. At first, only a few people read his work, but slowly, his audience began to grow. People appreciated his honesty and his ability to express complex emotions in a simple way. This positive response gave him confidence. However, the journey was not easy. There were moments of doubt, rejection, and frustration. Some days Ryan felt like giving up and returning to his old life, but every time he thought about it, he remembered how unhappy he had been. That memory pushed him forward. As time passed, Ryan became more consistent and disciplined. He improved his skills, learned from his mistakes, and adapted to challenges. He realized that success was not immediate but gradual. It required patience, persistence, and resilience. One day, Ryan received an email from a small company that wanted to collaborate with him. They had seen his work and believed in his potential. This opportunity was unexpected, but it felt like a reward for his efforts. Ryan accepted the offer with gratitude. That moment marked a turning point in his journey. For the first time, he felt that his decision to quit his job was justified. He was no longer just trying, he was progressing. His life was still uncertain, but it was also meaningful. Looking back, Ryan understood that quitting his job without a plan was both risky and transformative. It forced him to confront his fears, discover his strengths, and redefine his priorities. He learned that clarity does not always come before action. Sometimes it comes after. In the end, Ryan did not regret his decision. He knew that life was not about following a safe path, but about creating a path that felt true to oneself. And even though the future remained unpredictable, he was ready to face it with confidence and determination.